I'm in the Canton, Akron area today. I've just finished doing a reality leadership conference, and I'm in a room with some wonderful people from the Weaver Leather Company, tremendous friends of mine and my ministry. Their owner, Paul Weaver, son Eugene Weaver, have just been wonderful friends of our ministry, of which I'm very, very grateful. And this organization is just amazing. I saw their catalog a few months ago, and I ordered some leather products out of it, and I couldn't believe it. You guys make everything. If it's got leather, you make it. And when I was talking to them before the tape started rolling today, I was asking them what made them unique, and it was so interesting. They shared with me that just a few years ago, they were unknown. And in the last 2 years, you've been number one in America in making leather products. And I say congratulations to you. It's wonderful. If you want to know more about this wonderful company, just go to weaverleather.com, and you'll find out all about what they do and how they make. And we've certainly used some of their products and have found them to be products of excellence. So it's good to be with you today. And to all of our Maximum Impact Club members, I'm glad to be with you. I'm very excited about this lesson. This is one I've been sitting on for quite a while. It's been crock-potting. I've been incubating this one for a period of time, and I felt that today would be a good day to share it. The title of the lesson, Making Today a Better Tomorrow. Basically, what I'm going to share with you in this lesson is what I do today has a direct relationship with what's going to happen to me tomorrow. And let me put it another way so we understand it. What I am today is a result of decisions I made yesterday. In other words, everything that I'm enjoying or realizing or suffering from today has something to do with decisions and disciplines that I put in order yesterday. So just like yesterday determined today, today determines tomorrow. So we're going to talk about it. You see, when I look at people and how they view success, I'm often amazed at what they think success is or how they think they receive success. Let me explain it to you. Look in your notes. There are at least 9, and there are more than this. This is not a comprehensive list. This is just my list. There are at least 9 things I know of how people view success that I consider to be wrong. For example, number 1 is luck. I run into people all the time who think that people that are successful got lucky. They have kind of a lottery mindset. They just say, oh, well, yeah, shoot. They just happen to hit it right. They happen to be at the right place at the right time. And they look at success as kind of luck. It's kind of like a 4-leaf clover path, and they're just hoping someday that their number turns up. They're looking for luck, thinking that if you're successful, certainly you had to be lucky. I remember a statement one time, I forget who made it, said, the harder I work, the luckier I get. And I thought, how true it is, how true it is. But some people just think, I'll be successful if my time comes, if my number turns up. Secondly, some people look at success as mystical. They're never sure what it is that makes a person successful, but they're sure it's out there somewhere. And they have a mysticism about it, and it's kind of like, have you yet discovered the secret to success? And have you found that magic formula that is going to help you to be successful in life? Thirdly, some people look at success with suspicion. In other words, they look at a person that's successful, and their first question is, all right, who did they take advantage of? Who did they make money off? Who did they run over? Who did they beat up? All right, there's an angle somewhere, and I just got to figure out what the angle is. There's a shortcut, I know there is, and they're looking around, and they have a suspicion about success, and they have a suspicion about people that are successful. Number 4. Some people look at success and view it as hard work. They just say, I'm here to tell you right now, it is true, the early bird gets the worm, and you just got to rise up early and work hard if you want to be successful. And I just want to stop here and just say, I know a lot of people work hard that haven't been real successful. It's really not hard work. I mean, it's a wonderful virtue, it's a wonderful trait, but it's not going to make you successful. Number 5, some people view success as an event. In other words, they look at something or some place where they're going to be changed. They'll say, okay, when did you become successful? As if it was at an event or a place where you made a decision, or it was a place where something happened to you. And they contain success. They bottle it up and say, something happened there. There was an event that took place that just turned my life around. And so they hinge success on an event and kind of have destination disease. They kind of think, well, someday I'm going to get there. Someday I'm going to have that. Someday I'm going to be with that person. And they just look at it as some kind of an event occurrence that brings success. Number 6, sometimes people view success with envy. They look at someone else that's successful and they're envious of them, or they look at someone else successful and they say, it's always going to be for someone else, isn't it? It's never going to be for me. It's kind of like beyond my reach. And okay, well, you got it, but I'm not going to get it. Number 7, some people view success as the future. In other words, they look at success and say, it's somewhere under the rainbow. Someday it's going to happen to me. I don't know when, but there'll be a time out there. And they're very futuristic, like success is beyond their reach, somewhere out there. Number 8, some people view success as opportunity. What they're really saying is, I need a break. If I could just get a break. If I could just have this happen to me, if I could just have this one fall for me, then all of a sudden I'd be on my road to success. I just need a break. That's all I need. If I could just get the right opportunity, I could be successful. And number 9, some people view success as a relationship. Well, if I would have been born in the right family, that's my problem. Boy, I was born in the wrong family. If I could just meet the right person, that's my problem. I've not met the right person yet. Boy, but if I could just get a break and meet the right person. And they equate success with a relationship. Now, what I want you to do is see your notes, because here is a key statement. Few people realize that success is within their reach right now. I'm going to demysticize success for you in this lesson. In fact, in your notes, the secret of your success is determined by your daily agenda. In other words, what you and I do daily is already determining our success. I've often made the statement of conferences, if I could go home and I could spend 10 hours with you tomorrow. You do understand, from 8 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock tomorrow night, by 6:30 if you and I are having dinner, you do understand. You do understand. With about a 95% accuracy, if you ask me, I could tell you how successful you are and how successful you'll become. Because the secret of your success is not luck, it's not mystical, it's not suspicion, it's not hard work, it's not events, it's not envy, it's not future, it's not opportunity, it's not relationship. The secret of your success is discovered in your daily agenda. Here we are. Go to your notes. Most people underestimate today and overestimate tomorrow. I see that happening all the time. Most of us, we underestimate today and we overestimate tomorrow. In other words, we look at today and say, well, what are you doing today? Well, I'm just kind of hanging. I'm killing time. Oh. No, you're not killing time. You're killing opportunity. There's a lot of things you're killing. Well, but you know what? Tomorrow, I'm going to turn this thing around. Tomorrow, I'm going to get disciplined. Tomorrow, I'm going to prioritize. And tomorrow. We overestimate tomorrow. We underestimate today. You see, what I'm doing today affects tomorrow. We overestimate what tomorrow is. We underestimate what today is. We overestimate what we're going to have. We underestimate what we do have. Now, I've already said that the secret of your success is determined in your daily agenda. My success agenda is determined by 2 things. The daily decisions that I make, and secondly, the daily disciplines I practice. I have just given you the essence of success. Your daily decisions and your daily disciplines. If you today can make the right decisions and practice the right disciplines, success is going to be automatic. I guarantee you. Now, let's look at the daily decisions I make quickly. You don't make decisions because they're easy, and you don't make decisions because they're cheap. You don't make decisions because they're popular. You make decisions because they're right. That's the only reason to make decisions, because they're right. And my guideline for making right decisions are the following 7 things. Number 1, seek out wise counsel. I never trust myself to make right decisions without seeking wise counsel. People that have a pattern of making right decisions. Don't just seek out anybody. Be wise in who you seek out. Seek out people who have made a habit of making good, solid, wise decisions. Number 2, look for patterns in the guidance that you are given. I have found that when I begin to seek counsel from wise people, there's usually a set of patterns or principles that they give me to follow that just seem to be the same until I say, okay, there are 3 or 4 people giving me these patterns or these principles. I think I can buy into them. Now, number 3 and 4, again, I just want to say this is my personal faith. So whenever I do a lesson like this, I'm not trying to convert you, but I have to be honest with you to who I am. So 3 and 4 go to my personal faith, okay? Number 3 is the Bible. For me, God's Word gives me great direction. And number 4 is prayer. When I'm going to make right decisions, I seek wise counsel. I look for patterns in the guidance that I am given. I go to the Bible. I go to prayer. Number 5, does this decision give me peace? Number 6, what is the downside? I always ask the question, what's the downside? In other words, can I live with it? If this turns out wrong, can I live with it? If I'm in a business, I lose money, can I lose that much money? Look at the downside. Can I live with it? You've got to always look at the downside. And number 7, does this decision match my gifts and my abilities? And I have found those 7 guidelines help me in making the right decisions. And the reason that's important is, remember, my success is determined by the daily decisions I make and the daily disciplines I practice. Now, let me talk to you about the daily disciplines that I practice. Let me give you the common denominator of success. The common denominator of success is forming the habit of doing things that failures do not like to do. Boy, isn't that the truth. Just look what failures don't like to do and do it, and it's almost a guarantee that you're going to be successful. Look in your notes. Everyone wants to be thin, but no one wants to diet. Everybody wants money, but not many people want to work hard. Lots of people like a nice yard or a garden, but few like pulling weeds. Discipline, I love this, is the means to getting what you really want, even when you don't want to do the thing necessary to get it. I love that definition of discipline. It means getting what you really want, even when you don't want to do the thing necessary to get it. Well, let me do a little survey. How many of us in this room want to be thin? Huh? See, it's unanimous. Isn't it the easiest thing? Oh, yeah. The question isn't, do you want to be thin? The question is, do you want to practice the daily disciplines necessary to get there? Now, that's a different issue, isn't it, huh? Now, there are 2 types of pain in life. One is the pain of self-discipline. And every one of us know what it's like to have to do something that we don't want to do, but we know we should do it. That's the pain of self-discipline, and it's eased by the reward of daily progress. You know, when you're done at the end of the day, you say, man, I sure didn't like missing all that dessert, but man, this is good. If you don't practice the pain of discipline, you'll practice the second pain, the pain of regret. And regret increases with missed opportunities in age. One of the things I find is that as people get older and miss opportunities, many times they have a lot more regret. Boy, I wish I would have done this when I was that age, and I certainly wish I'd have made that decision back there. I define hard work as the accumulation of the easy things you didn't do when you should have. Isn't that true, huh? It just accumulates. By the way, I learned that definition when I was a kid because one of the things my dad did was, and he was so wise in this, is every Sunday he'd give us the chores that we had to do for the week. Now, some of the chores were kind of like daily chores. You had to take out the garbage, okay? You had to do that on a daily basis. That was one of my jobs. Some of the chores you could do any time in the week. Like my job every week was to clean out the basement. Now, Dad would look at me and say, now, John, here's the way this works. You can clean out the basement on Monday, or you can clean out the basement on Tuesday, or you can clean out the basement on Wednesday, or Thursday, or Friday, or Saturday. It's your choice. But at Saturday by noon, it needs to be cleaned. And we may be going to do something fun Saturday afternoon. If the chores aren't done by Saturday noon, you don't get to go do what's fun. And very quickly I learned that I could do it on Monday or I could do it on Tuesday, and there were some things that were optional, but I also understood that the quicker I got it done, the more I could enjoy the rest of the week. It's where I learned pay now, play later. Pay now, play later. If you don't pay now, play later, you'll play now and pay later. You're going to pay. Just which end do you want to pay on? If you pay on the front end, you get to play a lot longer. See, if you pay on the back end, it's like interest. It accumulates. The payment's a lot heavier. You don't want the payment on the back end. And hard work is the accumulation of the easy things you didn't do when you should have. I want you to note, what we do on some great occasion will depend on what we already are. And what we will be is the result of previous years of discipline. Wow. Oscar Wilde gave this confession. You talk about something sad. You talk about a person who didn't make good daily decisions or have daily discipline. He said, the gods have given me almost everything, but I let myself be lured into long spells of senseless and sensual ease. Tired of being in the heights, I deliberately went to the depths in search of new sensations. What the paradox was to me, in the sphere of thought, perversity became to me in the sphere of passion. I grew careless of the lives of others. I took pleasure when it pleased me and passed on. I forgot that every action of the common day makes or unmakes character, and that therefore what one has done in the secret chamber one has someday to cry aloud from the housetop. I ceased to be lord over myself. I was no longer the captain of my soul and did not know it. I allowed pleasure to dominate me. It ended in horrible disgrace. What's he talking about? He didn't practice the daily disciplines and the daily decisions. And one day, there was a payday. Now, when I talk about daily decisions, I'm talking about goal setting. Decisions I make. These are the things that I want to do today. When I talk about daily disciplines, I'm talking about goal doing. One is setting the goal, and the other is doing the goal. And again, I've already put it in your lesson, but I thought I should put it the second time because I want to really emphasize this. The secret of my success is determined in my daily agenda. And my daily agenda and my secret of success is composed of two things. I've already said it, but we're saying it again. The decisions I make and the disciplines I practice. What are the decisions I'm making today? What are the disciplines I'm practicing today? So what I wanted to do is I wanted to give you in this lesson decisions and disciplines that I make and practice daily. Now, this is from me. And I want to just say something before I give you this part of the lesson. This has been a process for me. Sometimes when I do a lesson, because I'm trying just to teach principles, I can sound better than I really am, or I can look better than I really am. And I just want to tell you on the front end, I didn't just discover this at 18 and practice it every day. It's still a discovery for me. It's still a discipline for me. There are days when I don't do as well in some of these areas. So I just want to start going, what I'm going to give you is tremendous truth. What I'm going to give you is life-changing truth. But also I want you to understand, I'm still a work in process. But these are the daily disciplines and decisions that I try every day to make and follow through on. Let's go. Number one, responsibility. I have decided to accept responsibility and be responsible daily. Couple quotes. Michael Korda quote. Success on any major scale requires you to accept responsibility. In the final analysis, the one quality that all successful people have is the ability to take on responsibility. Boy, that is a huge statement. Somebody comes and says, let me tell you about my abilities. You stop them right there and says, do you have the main ability? What's that? The ability to take on responsibility. Because if you don't have the ability to take on responsibility, no matter what your other abilities are, they'll be squandered. I promise you. Eric Fromm says, today responsibility is often meant to denote duty, something imposed upon one another from the outside. But responsibility in its true sense is an entirely voluntary act. It is my response to the needs, expressed or unexpressed, of another human being. I just think that is a huge statement. And one of the daily decisions and disciplines that I need to make and practice is responsibility. Maturity, in your notes, doesn't come with age. It comes with acceptance of responsibility. How many of you in this room know somebody that's going up in age but not maturity? Huh? You know what I'm talking about? Hey, they're getting older, but it isn't getting better. I love it when people say, well, you just got to give them a little more time. No, there are some people, they've had enough time. You follow what I'm saying? They've had enough. Hey, nobody's home. Nobody's there yet. I read a statement, it's not in your notes, that said the reason people blame things on previous generation is that there's only one other choice. Haven't we met people like that? Just pick up your responsibility. It's a decision and a discipline that you make every day. Number 2, the second decision and discipline that you and I need to every day make and practice is our values. And beside the word values, I put this statement: I have decided to embrace and practice right values. Now, let me give you the difference between a practice and a value. A practice is an activity that may work in some situations, but not all. A value applies to all situations. So when a person talks about a practice, sometimes the practice works, sometimes it doesn't. Values always work. I'll give you a practice, give you an example. When I was growing up, one of the disciplines my parents used on me was when I was out of line, they sent me to my room and made me stay in my room. Now, for a guy like me that is highly ornery and relational, being in your room is no fun. I mean, there's worlds to conquer out there. And being in your room is not exactly the place you want to be. I would take it up paddling. I'll give you a whole list of things to do to me, but don't send me to my room and make me stay there for a couple of hours. Life is out there. So when my daughter Elizabeth, when she was growing up, I thought this would be a good discipline for her. And I sent her to her room when she was a little bit out of line, of which she loved going to her room. I knew I was in trouble when I'd say, Elizabeth, you can now come out, and she didn't come out. And I'd go in there, and she'd be in her room, and she was just enjoying being by herself. She didn't have to be with anybody, didn't have to talk to anybody, and she was just having the time of her life. Now, see, it was a practice that worked with me. It was a practice that didn't work with my daughter. Practices are not always the same with people. Values, they apply to all situations. Let's go to your notes. Values are also different from principles. A principle is an external truth that is as reliable as a physical law, such as the law of gravity. When Solomon said, for example, a gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger, he stated a principle that is both universal and timeless. Principles are important because they function like a map, allowing us to make wise decisions. If we ignore them or deny their reliability, we become like travelers refusing to use a road map because we don't think it's accurate. While we may acknowledge the reliability of many principles, we only internalize those we deem important. When that happens, the principle has become a value that serves as an internal map that we use to direct our lives. A value, then, is an internalized principle that guides our decisions. Your values should not be determined by your business. They should govern your business. They're internalized in your life. They should govern your business. This is not in your notes, but it's a quote by James Dobson that he made in June of 1988 at Seattle Pacific University at their graduation. He said, it's important to use your talents, but if that's the end of it, there's a disillusionment that sets in between the ages of 35 and 50. This is commonly called the midlife crisis. I believe that it is more a phenomenon of a wrong value system than it is the age group in which it occurs. All of a sudden you realize that the ladder you've been climbing is leaning against the wrong wall. Ken Blanchard and Norman Vincent Peale said, nice guys may appear to finish last, but usually they are running a different race. Values. Every day I embrace and practice the right values, hopefully. Number 3. let's talk about improvement. I have decided to grow and improve daily. George Knox in Leadership Magazine said, when you cease to be better, you cease to be good. When you stop growing, you cease to be useful, a weed in the garden of prosperity. We are what we are today because we were what we were yesterday, and our thoughts today will determine our actions tomorrow. And the path from ordinary to the extraordinary is continual improvement. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to daily choose to improve. Many people realize that I am continually in a personal growth plan. I have been since 1973. And many years ago, I heard a wonderful lesson on growth. I have some wonderful friends in the Kansas City area, Vern and Charlene Armitage. Vern and Charlene are terrific people, and he pastors a great church there, and she has many, many wonderful spiritual gifts herself. And one day I was hearing Charlene, and she was teaching about Jesus, and it's in your notes. Jesus grew in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and men. What Charlene taught was this: life's goals are reached by setting annual goals, and annual goals are reached by setting daily goals, and daily goals are reached by doing things which may be uncomfortable at first, but eventually will become habits, and habits are powerful things. Habits turn actions into attitudes, and attitudes into lifestyles. So for many years now, following the model of Jesus, I've set an intellectual goal, and I've set a physical goal because he grew in stature. I've set a spiritual goal because he grew in favor with God, and I've set a relational goal because he grew in favor with men. Now, that's simple, isn't it? But it's a wonderful model. It may not be the model that you want to use, but the question I'm asking you is, are you improving every day? Have you made the decision, and have you developed a discipline in which every day you say, I'm improving. I'm improving physically. I'm improving, hopefully, mentally. I'm hopefully improving relationally. What's your gauge? How do you keep growing? How do you keep improving? So let me give you some improvement insights. Number one, don't be afraid to admit you were wrong. And the reason that you and I should not be afraid to admit that we were wrong is it proves you're wiser today than you were yesterday. Isn't that great? Huh? Boy, if you never admit you're wrong, you're saying, I'm not growing, I'm not wiser. So don't be afraid. Just admit you're wrong. Number two, you will never change your life until you change something that you do daily. I love that statement. I could camp there for the next 20 minutes. I have people all the time say, I'm going to make some major changes. You know what? I don't need no major changes. Could you tell me what you're going to make a minor change today? What are you going to change today? Because you cannot change your life until you change something daily. The change in your life is determined about the change that you make today. Again, the secret of your success and my success is discovered in our daily agenda. Number three, you cannot manage what you cannot measure. So what you've got to do is you've got to identify the areas that growth is essential to your success, and you have to be able to measure them. Now, just a simple example, but we come up to New Year's resolutions. Somebody will say something like, I'm going to read more this year than I read last year. Okay, that's wonderful, but it's not the way to do it. If you really want to improve, don't say you're going to read more next year than you did this year. Say, every day I'm going to read 2 chapters of a book this year. Now, you see what I've done? I've got your intentions measured now. And every day you gauge your intentions by, did I read 2 chapters in a book? Or did I read 1 chapter? Or did I read 2 books a month? Or did I read 1 book a month? Okay, in other words, take your intentions and take your goals and make them measurable. Number 4, set realistic expectations for your improvement. Ian McGregor says, I work on the same principle as people who train horses. You start with low fences, easily achieved goals, and you work up. It is important in management never to ask people to try to accomplish goals they can't accept. So set realistic expectations. I love the story about the guy who went to India to go tiger hunting. And the first day he saw a tiger, and he was so shocked because the tiger was real close, just right there. And he was so shocked, and he thought he had to be shooting long distances, and he'd been practicing long distance, that he pulled his gun up and shot, missed the tiger. I mean, it was right there, and the tiger was shocked that he saw the hunter, and he made a long jump, and he missed the hunter. So the hunter said, oh, my goodness, I've been doing this all wrong. I need to get this realistic. I need to get this expectation down. So he went back to camp, and he practiced short shots. Walked out of the camp the next day and out into the jungle, and he sees the same tiger practicing short jumps. Reduce. Shorten. Set realistic goals. What can you tackle in a day? Because whatever you tackle today, you need to tackle tomorrow and the next day. So you've got to get it down there, because that's where the compounding always comes in. Number 5. Continual change is essential for continual improvement. They go together. One of the great paradoxes of success, the things which got you there are seldom the things which keep you there. Wow. Continual change is essential for continual improvement. Number 6, motivation gets you started. Habits keep you going. Number 7, another improvement insight. We overestimate what we can do in a month, and we underestimate what we can do in a year. That's just true. We are infatuated with big and fast. Boy, if I can just get there quicker. Hey, if you got a shortcut, how big's it going to be? Big and fast. Number 8, I'm still on improvement insights. Number 8, focus. William James, noted psychologist, said, if you would be rich, you will be rich. And if you would be good, you will be good. And if you would be learned, you will be learned. But wish for one thing exclusively, and don't at the same 100 things strongly. Focus is what he's saying. I love this statement. I said one time, my goal was to retire when I reached 40. I have been partly successful. I reached 40. Lily Tomlin one time said, I always wanted to be somebody, but I should have been more specific. Another improvement insight, number 9. Spend 80% of your time working on your strengths. And you've heard me in conferences say before, people don't pay for average. Got to work on your strengths. Got to stay where your gifts and your abilities are. If you work on something that is a weakness, I can promise you it's just not going to get very good. It just really isn't. From a 1 to a 10, if you're a 3, you may work hard and get up to 4. You may be able to get up to 5, but you're still average. You work on your strengths. Spend 80% of your time working on your strengths. Now, I'm talking about skills, by the way. I'm talking about skills. There are 2 weak areas that will hurt you and that you must work on. One is self-discipline, which is what we're really talking about in this lesson. Decisions and daily disciplines. And number 2 is attitude. You see, if you have all the skills and strengths of the world, but you lack self-discipline or you have a bad attitude, you will literally sabotage yourself. I did a tape one time many, many years ago entitled, How to Get Out of Your Own Way. And the whole thesis of the tape is don't worry about the competition. If most people were running the race by themselves, they'd lose. And when you run the race by yourself and you lose, it's always an attitude issue or a self-discipline issue. Number 10, one more improvement insight. Number 10, ask this question continually. It's all in your notes here. Is what I am doing today getting me closer to my goal tomorrow? It's a great question. Sign on an officer's desk at the Pentagon, the secrecy of my job does not permit me to know what I'm doing. I think a lot of people who don't work for the Pentagon have that sign on their desk, don't you, huh? Okay. What are we talking about? We're talking about making daily decisions and practicing daily disciplines. We've talked about 3 so far. Let's go to the 4th one. I've decided to practice good health daily. Couple quotes. Here's one by a doctor at Duke University Medical Center. Men in poor physical condition are 4 times more likely to die from a heart attack than those who are physically fit. Here's another one. People who cannot find time for recreation are obligated sooner or later to find time for illness. Here's another doctor's quote. Exercise during middle age can actually retard physiological aging. Activity seems to lengthen life, maybe 1 or 2 years. This statement really grabbed me. We can expect that for every hour that you're active, you will get to live that hour over, and possibly 2 more on top of that. Health is huge. Wow. Let me stop here for a moment to get personal. 4 years ago, I had a heart attack. And I went out of that, and for 2.5 years, almost 3 years, I never cheated on my diet, and I exercised every day. And then about 3 years ago, my heart doctor said, John, quit worrying about yourself. Don't consider yourself a heart patient. You're doing good. He should have never told me. I began to slide in my exercise. I began to cheat in my diet. And for about a year, I went this cycle. And just in the last month, I've started to pull it back together again. Now, what I'm saying is, again, practicing the daily disciplines, making the right decisions every day. And it's not an issue of me not knowing the right decisions. Is that true? We never suffer from lack of knowledge. We suffer from lack of discipline. We already know. We don't need another instruction. We don't need another teaching. We just have to sometimes come back to get back in reality. Mark Twain one time said, and I felt like this many times, he said, how do you keep healthy? Eat what you don't like, drink what you don't like, and do what you don't like, and you stay healthy. One caveman said to another, you figure it out. Everything we eat is natural, yet our life expectancy is 27 years. We all get frustrated with HMOs, don't we, huh? And I read something the other day, and it's not in your notes. I wish I had put it in your notes for you that I want to read to you. Just sit back for a couple minutes and enjoy this. This is answering your HMO questions. I just joined a new HMO. How difficult will it be to choose the doctor I want? Here's the answer. Just slightly more difficult than choosing your parents. Your insurer will provide you with a book listing all the doctors who were participating in the plan at the time the information was gathered. These doctors basically fall into 2 categories, those who no longer are accepting new patients and those who will see you but no longer are part of the plan. But don't worry, the remaining doctor who is still in the plan and accepting new patients has an office just a half a day's drive from you. What does the HMO stand for? This is actually a variation of the phrase, hey, Mo. Its roots go back to a concept pioneered by Dr. Mo Howard, who discovered that a patient could be made to forget about the pain in his foot if he was poked hard enough in the eyes. Modern practice replaces the physical finger poke with a high-tech equivalent such as voicemail referral slips, but the result remains the same. Question, do all diagnostic procedures require pre-certification? No, only those you need. Can I get healthy coverage for my pre-existing conditions? Certainly, as long as they don't require any treatment. What happens if I want to try an alternative form of medicine? You'll need to find an alternative form of payment. My pharmacy plan only covers generic drugs, but I need the name brand. I tried the generic medicine, but it gave me a stomach ache. What should I do? Answer, poke yourself in the eye. I think I need a specialist, but my doctor insists that he or she can handle the problem. Can a general practitioner really perform a heart transplant right in his or her office? Hard to say, but considering that all you're risking is a $10 co-payment, there's no harm in giving him or her a shot at it, right? Last question, will healthcare be any different in the next century? Answer, no, but if you call right now, you might get an appointment by then. Health, making daily health decisions, important. Number 5 is relationships. The daily relationships I make and the disciplines I have are going to make a difference. I have decided to invest in healthy relationships daily. You see, there's a law of relationship that says every person is merely 4 people away from any other human on earth. Think of it. This simply means that you know Bill, who knows Judy, who knows Charles, who knows anyone else you would ever want to know. You are already networked with the entire world. It's a huge statement. The reciprocity rule of human behavior says over time, people come to share reciprocally similar attitudes toward each other. In other words, if I have a low opinion of you, then while you may for a time have a high opinion of me, it's unlikely that your high opinion will persist. There's a time when I'll bring your opinion down to my opinion. It's the law of reciprocity. Here's some relationship questions I think we all need to ask ourselves. Always start a relationship by asking, do I have an ulterior motive for wanting to relate to this person? Is my caring conditional? Am I trying to escape something? Am I planning to change the person? Do I need this person to help me make up for a deficiency in myself? See, if you answer any of these questions, yes, leave the person alone. He or she is better without you. Almost all of our sorrows spring out of relationships with the wrong people. I read a commencement address by Joel Trachtenberg, who was the president at the University of Hartford back in 1994. And it was a good relationship piece. It was entitled, Humor the People Above You. Here's what he said. One of the requirements of every university president is that they offer at least one bit of sage advice, so get ready. He said, here it comes. He's speaking at a graduation. Very shortly, you will be leaving the people who think they have all the answers, your instructors, professors and counselors, and you're going to be going out into the world. In time, you will meet other people who think that they have all the answers. These people are called bosses. My advice is humor them. A little later, you'll meet other people who think that they have all the answers. These people are called spouses. My advice, humor them. And if all goes well in a few years, you will still meet another group of people that they think they have all the answers. They're called your children. Humor them. Now, life will go on. Your children will grow up, go to school, and someday they could be taking part in a commencement exercise exactly like this one. And who knows, the speaker responsible for handing out all the good advice could very well be you. And it would not be inconceivable that halfway through your speech, the graduate sitting next to your kid will lean over and ask, who's that old guy up there who thinks he has all the answers? Well, thanks to the sound advice that you're hearing today, and that I hope that you'll pass on, you'll be able to say, that's my father. Humor him. Last quote, every day of his adult life. This is huge. Ben Franklin set aside the time to examine two questions. The morning question was, what good shall I do today? The evening question was, what good have I done today? And I close this lesson by saying, it's an absolute fact that Benjamin Franklin understood that what you and I do today determines tomorrow. So he determined in his life that in the morning he would ask the question, what good can I do today? And in the evening he would ask the question, what good have I done today? What Benjamin Franklin realized is, if you do that every day, it will compound. And you will do a lot of good for a lot of people. And one day you'll get amazed and say, you know what? I've made a difference in a lot of people's lives. And when you look at that, and you're recognized for that, and some people will kind of want to give you credit for that today, just understand, as one of my friends said one time, all my life I've worked hard at being an overnight success. Let your daily decisions be the right decisions. Let your daily disciplines be the right disciplines. And do them every day. Day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out, year in, year out. And one day, they'll compound. And one day you'll be surprised. You'll not only be surprised, but people around you will be surprised at the good that you have done. And you'll understand that you didn't do it in a day, but you did it every day. And because you did it every day, one day, you got recognized for it. That's how you make today a better tomorrow.